Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the webinar session today. On behalf of ManageEngine family, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to all our customers, partners, and users who are currently evaluating our products. Thank you very much for joining the session today. Let me introduce myself. My name is Santosh Narasimhamurthy, and I'm part of Endpoint Management and Security line of products for ManageEngine. And I'm a technical evangelist and I take care of the customers to make sure they take the right choices when it comes to endpoint management and security line of products. From endpoint management and security of ManageEngine, we offer a wide range of products under management and security categories. These are the different lists that you can find. So you have Desktop Central, Mobile Device Manager Plus, Desktop Central for MSP, OS Deployer, Remote Access Plus from the management side, and you have Vulnerability Manager Plus, Patch Manager Plus, Browser Security Plus, Device Control, all these products that's from the security perspective. Vulnerability Manager Plus takes care of all the vulnerabilities, known and unknown vulnerabilities at the endpoint level. You should be able to report and remediate those vulnerabilities. Patch Manager Plus is exclusively for patching alone, known vulnerabilities, browser security for comprehensive browser security. So all these products are available separately, and as a unified endpoint management, you have it as a one suite, Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management with security add-on. You get all these together in one suite as well. So today's training is going to be on the product called Desktop Central. It will be tuned for distributed workforce. Now, whether you like it or not, everybody during this COVID situation has adopted remote work or a complete hybrid or distributed workforce. People from home connect to their office, get the job done, and we have small offices that's been around the world that connect and get together, reach out to their applications or to the customers, and they also have to be managed. So Desktop Central with distributed workforce, how do I manage it? Or today's training will all be all about the unified endpoint security. Let's look at this training schedule. We are on the week 2 of the training schedule, where we are going to look at the unified endpoint security, the security add-ons that comes along with the Desktop Central, and also as part of Desktop Central, what are the different security features that you have? We'll be discussing it today. Last week, it was all about patch management. How do you manage patching with Desktop Central or with the patch management? In the upcoming weeks, you have software management, asset management, remote control, and onboarding of devices with unified endpoint management. You can use the link that's shown at the bottom of the screen to register yourself for the upcoming trainings, as well as you can view the videos of the past trainings as well. If you have missed, you make sure you can go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen to see those videos. So today's session, as I mentioned, let's go ahead and look at what are the different security add-ons that you can utilize in order to secure your distributed workforce. In view of that, this will be my agenda. We're going to talk about the overview of a Desktop Central. What is this product all about? And then we will go into how you are equipped to manage this distributed workforce with Desktop Central. And we'll be looking into the top 5 critical security controls that's suggested by the CIS. And I will show you how our product can help you to understand the top 5 critical security controls and how it can help you out in achieving it through endpoint lockdown and responding to different through control, and then managing and securing the browsers using Browser Security Plus or Browser Security add-on. We'll also look at the comprehensive BitLock management that's available with the security add-on feature, We'll also look at some data leak prevention by device control plus. If time permits, we'll look into the architecture as well. First question, what is Desktop Central? What is Desktop Central is all about? So when I say Desktop Central, I can manage desktops, laptops, mobile phones from, I wanted to manage it from a single console using Desktop Central. So a famous reviewer called Forrest defines the unified endpoint management like this: a product that can provide centralized policy engine for managing and securing employees' laptops, mobile devices from a single console. So that's what we are also doing at the moment. We are fitting the Desktop Central into the unified endpoint management suite, where it can offer a wide range of functionalities that can cater managing and securing capabilities for all the devices from a single console. So what's the Desktop Central's Unified Endpoint Management Edition is all about? Traditionally, we had client management tools. If you have managed machines 15 years back, we all called it as client management tools, different tools for different purposes. Then evolved enterprise mobility management, MDM, mobile device management came into picture. Then right now, it's all about modern management of different operating systems. Windows 10 and Mac OS has that capability at this moment, and we are also catering that. Plus the imaging, OS deployment, imaging solutions is also catered there. So all these features together, from the traditional management to the modern management, what we have right now, all these things under a same roof. That's your unified endpoint management is all about. From a traditional patching to a control OS update, or from a remote control to a remote management type of approach, from a configuration deployment to a profile distribution to those devices, geo tracking and fencing, and modern management. This is the whole idea about Desktop Central, managing both traditional and modern way of managing these operating systems. That's the whole idea. So these are the features that's available as part of Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management. You get patch management, comprehensive patch management, and you get mobile device management. Along with that, you get modern management of Windows 10 and Mac OS, putting different profiles for Windows 10, tracking laptops, complete wipe and corporate wipes for the laptops, putting them on kiosk mode. And then you go to Browser Security Plus, which provides browser security, comprehensive browser security for the different browsers, vulnerability management, not just patching, but also detect the unknown vulnerabilities that's present at the endpoint level and remediate them as well. Then going up, you have device control. That's part of USB device management. That's more of a data leak prevention for the devices that are connected using USBs. That's device control plus. You have a comprehensive imaging solutions for Windows, where you have different areas to have hardware independent deployment, user migration, user profile migrations, and a lot of other things available there. And you have remote management, where you have comprehensive remote control. Not only that, you have a lot of other remote management features available with that as well. Altogether is Desktop Central's unified endpoint management. Now, along with this Desktop Central's unified endpoint management, you also have the security add-ons that comes in with unified endpoint management. So you have different security add-ons. So the 5 different security add-ons that you get is application control, vulnerability management, device control, BitLocker management, and comprehensive browser security. So these are the 5 different security add-ons that you get along with unified endpoint management. And except BitLocker management, all the other security add-ons, your application control, vulnerability management, device control, and browser security, all these 4 are available as standalone edition as well as add-on for Desktop Central as well. So if you want to have a standalone editions for any of these separately, like vulnerability management, you have vulnerability manager plus, device control plus, and browser security, you have browser security plus. All these are available as separate products, standalone edition, And also, if you want it as a whole suite, that's available as security add-on. BitLocker management is available only as an add-on for your desktop central. So if you're going for a security add-ons all together as one suite, you get BitLocker management along with that too. So that's the clarity you need to have how security add-on is available with the unified endpoint management. Right now, during the course of this training, please feel free to post your questions on the chat. I have an expert panel who will be able to answer your questions. I will also be answering your questions at the end of the session. Once I finish, I will be going through over your questions. So please make sure you post your questions on the chat. You will get live answers, as well as I will be discussing those questions at the end as well. So coming back to the Desktop Central's Unified Endpoint Management, we have awards and recognitions as part of Unified Endpoint Management. So I'm going to describe a last one that we got this year for Gartner Peer Insight Customer Choice for 2021. So we got the award for 2018, 2019, and 2020. We got it on a different front. Again, on 2021, we got the Peer Insights Customer Choice Award as well. And we also were recognized on top 4 2021 IDC MarketScape reports for unified endpoint management as well. So if you want to know further details about customer choice, customer reviews, or how the product is, please make sure you visit the page that's shown on the bottom of the screen. You should be able to get more details about those reviews as well. That's the recognition. Let's move into the type of devices that we manage, right? We can manage desktops, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, servers, point of sale equipments, and browsers as well. We consider browsers as endpoints, just like how you manage a desktop, because we have more SaaS-based applications that's been used these days, especially during this COVID time. So hence, browser plays an important role. So managing browsers is as important as managing the endpoints. Different sub operating systems that we support Windows, Mac, and Linux operating systems as well. This is the list of the supported operating systems that we offer. In case you do not find any of the operating systems that you want to manage in this list, please feel free to drop an email to the support team. The support team's email is at the bottom of the screen, desktopcentral-support at ManageEngine.com. Feel free to drop in your email with the information about what operating systems you would like to manage, and if you need clarification regarding the supported operating systems, our technician will get in touch with you. So to understand the security add-on better in this COVID type of situations, we see let's take a backdrop of how John and his IT team. Let's say John has an IT team and he is responsible to manage a distributed workforce. So I'm going to take this as an example, as a backdrop to see how the product fits into this space, how the product can fit into the space of managing and securing employee laptops when a team, John and his team has this kind of architecture. Will that fit into the managing and securing of the devices? Now, during this COVID situation where we had distributed workforce, right now, John is facing 3 different type of users. One is a regular user who has a VPN, uh, who had who has been with the organization, who's been using the VPN for a very long time, and you already have a policy in place governing these uh, machines. In other terms, you already have a set of people who are connected remotely, and you already have a good standard set of policies which is governing them. Right now, because of the situation, the second category, where you provided, or in other terms, you enable them for working from remote place, you have given them the endpoints. You have given them access to your applications via VPN. That's the second type of users. And the third type, again, these users are going to get connected from their home or from a remote space. But here you have all your application on either on cloud or either the applications are at the edge where the users can get connected to those applications directly, right? So these are the three different type of users that John is dealing with when it comes to the remote work. So that's a setup that we also have seen in our customers, and that's why there is a link that's shown on the bottom of the screen that talks about remote work setup. So if you can go to that link, it tells you how you can set up your desktop central environment for a remote work, right? How John is going to manage similarly for your infrastructure, however it is, whether you have enabled remote work or going to enable remote work, or if you need ideas in configuring remote works, or if you need to know more on the product, what all it can do for a remote work setup, make sure you visit the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen. That's going to give you a lot more details about how to manage your infrastructure. John was also facing a couple of challenges. One is about enabling the work from home, to have those users get connected. He had bandwidth issues. Internet bandwidth was a major challenge. Providing VPNs or either move the application to edge access or cloud access, then going towards that managing these devices. It could be providing new devices to those uh, users, or make collaboration tools. How do they conduct meetings and things like that? Managing devices, and last but not the least, securing these devices. Now that's going to be a pretty challenging. How do I secure these devices when they are especially at work from home? I have a lot of things to do, putting the endpoints on lockdown, or I have to deal with patch management. What are the things that we have to consider when it comes to patch management or encryptions and different things like that? So there is a question to John and to everyone: are we equipped to manage the distributed uh, workforce? Are we equipped to manage the distributed workforce? So that's a question that comes to our mind. So when it comes to distributed workforce, I have a suggestion, or let's see how John is going to apply this top CIS control to his environment. So in order to secure this remote workforce, if you can deploy these 5 security controls that's been emphasized by CIS, then I think you have a better edge over the endpoint security. The first one, what they say is, take an inventory of authorized and unauthorized devices in your network, or I would put it as in your organizations. You need to have an inventory of what are the devices that are authorized and unauthorized devices as well. In today's context, we also talk about zero trust model, where you trust the devices after. I mean, you don't trust the device until you verify those devices. That also comes into picture. Second is the application, not just the hardwares, but also list of authorized and unauthorized applications that's running in different endpoints. So you need to have a concrete understanding of that. Then secure configurations for your hardware or software. That's one of the priority. What are the different configurations? Another term, policies that you have for hardening your hardwares or softwares, that should be there at this critical juncture of work from home or remote work. That's very, very important. Then the pretty important one, continuous vulnerability assessment and remediation system, right? You must have a tool that can continuously assess the vulnerabilities and help you remediate. Last one is controlled use of administrative privileges, right? So you can't simply have everyone with administrative privilege. They're all working from home. You need to restrict them in terms of administrative privileges. Make sure they privileges are stripped down to minimum level so that unauthorized access can be avoided. So if I have to adopt the CIS control, the best way is to have an endpoints lockdown. The same concepts what they have said, I have tried to put that on a circle to place an endpoint lockdown, where you can utilize our products security add-on in this circle, if you can fit this circle on your endpoint, then I believe that you will have a better edge, or you can reduce the attack surface when it comes to attacks or malware attacks that are happening around the world. So you need to have an allowed application, whitelisting or blacklisting of applications through application control, better vulnerability and patch management, encryptions, firewalls, browser security, antivirus, NAC, network access control for your devices, data leak prevention, and endpoint privilege access management. So if you can put the circle around your endpoint without security add-ons, different security add-ons that we have 5 different security add-ons, then I think you will have a better edge of reducing the attack surface. Let's go into the product first. The first one that I'm going to talk about from a ring of security is the vulnerability management and remediation, right? How do I respond to the known vulnerabilities and the unknown vulnerabilities? Let's go directly into the product to give you a better idea. So this is Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management Suite, which has all the capabilities of management and security in one place. You can see threats and patches for vulnerability assessment and management. You have browser security, you have application control, BitLocker management, device control, and you also have the application control as well. So these are the different security models. How do I enable it? The first question comes to you is, if I already have a Desktop Central, how do I enable it? You go to admin and you have an option called Endpoint Security Add-on. Click on that. And I have already enabled it. Otherwise, you will have an option that says Enable Security Add-on. You can click on that Enable. It would automatically display these tabs on your Desktop Central. Now, remember, this is separately licensed, even though you can trial that out, see if that fits your model, and then you can opt for licensing. So that's an add-on that's available. I'm using Desktop Central 0.681. It's not necessary that you need 681 for your security add-on. You can upgrade to whatever latest is available on the site. That should be enough for you. This version may not be available for everyone. However, the security add-on is available for everyone once you upgrade your existing Desktop Central, right? So let's move on into threats and patches. That's our vulnerability assessment. So here, basically when the scan runs for patch management, right? Whenever there is a scan that runs on patch management, it also runs a vulnerability assessment, which for all the endpoints, not just the application vulnerabilities, but also the vulnerabilities that are present at the endpoint level. Let me click on this total vulnerabilities that I have. So I go into this, you have a comprehensive reports in different forms. You have software vulnerabilities, detected CVEs at your endpoints, zero-day vulnerabilities, system misconfigurations. Let's probably pick one thing. Say, for example, I want to know if a specific CVE is affecting my systems or not. I go to the software vulnerabilities. I can very well go ahead and type in a CVE ID from here, so that it will filter out the CV ID, and it will tell me if this vulnerability is present at my endpoints or not. Now, not only that information, let's probably try to get a specific CV ID and see if it's there. So I go to search, paste in the CV ID, go for a search here to see if it's available or not. So that specific CV ID is available under the detected CV ID. So I can just go ahead and scan, put the CV number here, and you should be able to see the CV IDs separately. So if this vulnerability is affecting my systems or not. And on top of that, we also tell you if a patch is available or not. You can see the patch availability status here. If a patch is available, I can very well go ahead and deploy the patch right from here. I do not have to worry about it. If a patch is not available, what if a patch is unavailable? So you can click on that specific vulnerability. We are going to give you a lot of details about what this vulnerability is all about. And if there is a manual resolution that you can do, a link will be available there. You can click on the link. It's going to tell you how to, remove this vulnerability. Now, this vulnerability that you see here is because of a Libra version 6 that has a vulnerability, and there is no resolution or patch for that specific version. The only way is to go for a newer version of the LibreOffice. So that's what is shown here. Similarly, if there are any other patches that, vulnerability that does not have a patch, we will show you what could be the possible resolution, right? So you can see there are a lot of other vulnerabilities that's associated with the endpoints, right? Let's take about, this is about the Postgres SQL. That's a vulnerability. So there is no solution at all. So then the best thing is to remove those type of applications from your endpoints. Moving down, zero-day vulnerabilities are also detected. So if a patch is available or if it's a fix is available, you click on the fix, it deploys the configuration immediately so that it will be remediated. So it's automatic remediation. So it either installs the patch on those individual endpoints, or it applies the configurations that is required. Then you go into system misconfigurations. So apart from the application vulnerabilities, if there are any system level misconfiguration, something like TLS version 1.1, right? It should not be enabled. So the malwares utilize this version to access your shares and place their malicious content. So that's why it's even this is a level 1 CI security benchmark 2. So disable the version 1.1 or the unsecure versions of TLS is totally fine. So you can see different vulnerabilities that's been available. Now there will be a question, on what basis are these vulnerabilities being detected, right? So you have different categories. We take the CIS standards and the STIG standards, and we have taken the top securities or uh, the categories that affects the customers the most. We are grading those endpoints based on that STIG and CIS compliance. And based on that, you have several categories in which we grade the endpoints based on the user access control or the encryption, peer-to-peer usage, account privilege management, or it could be OS hardening level, Chrome hardening level, different levels of categories. We grade your system, and if there is a fix available, you can see it here, deploy secure configuration. You click on the deploy secure configuration, it's going to remediate that specific vulnerability, right? And if you want add any exemptions, something like you go ahead and say administrator accounts have, you definitely need a default administrator account, something like that. Or if it's an outdated plugin that you require for business usage, you go ahead and add it to an exception list so that we don't consider that as a vulnerability. Then you go with high risk software, end of life softwares, peer-to-peer protocols, remote desktop sharings, right? So we consider these are as high risk software, not necessarily a vulnerability, but these are high risk software, except especially this remote desktop sharing, for example. The recent vulnerabilities that affected, right, all used the blue blue keep. All these was affecting using the remote desktop sharing. So it's important to understand what applications are actually using remote desktop sharing. If required, you can add it to the exception list as well. Otherwise, it's important to keep a track of them. Then it's about web server configuration, right? Not only system level or endpoint level vulnerabilities, but we also check any web servers that you have in your environment, and we will go ahead and check the vulnerabilities on those web servers, and we grade them, right? We grade them on different levels, and if a resolution is available, we will post it here. So you go ahead and click on the view resolution. It tells you what has to be set on the web server, and you can utilize this to correct it. Then comes port audit. This is more about audit than of a vulnerability. It tells you what are the services that are utilizing different ports at the endpoints. So if you find anything malicious on these descriptions or these services that's utilizing it from here, then probably you might have to check what this, especially something like this. So if they are using, if any services that you don't recognize is utilizing a port, then probably you need to take action on the firewall. You cannot remediate it from here. This is more of an audit. It just tells you which are the machines that are actually using those ports. So probably you can handle them on the firewall level. So those are the different vulnerabilities that you get on, vulnerabilities that are unknown vulnerabilities as system that you remediate. As far as the known vulnerabilities, which is patch management. So we have, I'm not going to go in detail about patch management because last week we had an exclusive webinar just for patch management alone. So you can take a look at that video to understand how patch management works. So this is all about the vulnerability management. So vulnerability management works in conjunction with the patch management. So if you have a patch available, you go with the patch management process of testing and approving and deploying to the endpoints. If you don't have a patch, you click on it, the vulnerability, and see how to manage them. And if there is a resolution available, you possibly can deploy it right out of here. So this is vulnerability management, right? So that's when I say you have an automatic remediation process. If you have a fix available, you can remediate it automatically. If you don't have a fix available, you can go for a manual remediation. We'll tell you what to be done. You can go for a manual remediation process. So the next thing in line would be at endpoints lockdown level will be application control, right? Which is a security add-on. In your infrastructure, the second layer of security on that ring is application control. Let's look into the application control of Desktop Central and see how it can restrict non-business applications for John. So John manages his environment, and if he wants to put a rule to then says you cannot use non-business applications, how can he go about it? So let's go to the application control add-on that's available in Endpoint Management Suite. So the security add-ons, right, the application control or the other security add-ons that I'm going to talk about works very simple. You create a group of machines, you create a policy, and you apply the policy. That's how it works. So John goes to the application control. The first step that he does is create the application group, right? He says, these are the allowed applications. I'm going to edit the one that I already have. So John says these are the applications that's allowed in my environment. He can go up adding different application based on product name, verified executables or hash values, or with the folder path, or basically anything that's running at your endpoint. Now, does this? How does the server populates this data, right? So the endpoint has our agent that's running at every machine. The agent collects all the data about what are the applications that's running on the background, what are the exes that are running. All the details will be collected and posted to the server, so that this information is from that scan. So anything they run on the end users from the point you install the agent, you will have all the data here. From this, you can decide what to whitelist and which one to blacklist. So once you create the group, once John creates this group, right, allowed a whitelisting of applications, then it's all about applying this and creating a policy, right? So let's go to the deploying policy. Let's go ahead and create a policy and apply it. So where should I apply this policy, right? Either I can apply to all computers or create custom groups. Now, if you are familiar with Desktop Central, you should be aware about the custom groups that we have. If for people who are evaluating newly, we have an option to group missions into based on criteria, or simply group the missions with their host names, or just on random. So we call it as custom groups. You can create different custom groups and you can assign policies to it. This custom group that you create is global. You can utilize this custom group anywhere. You can utilize it for patch, you can utilize for application control, you can utilize it for software deployment anywhere within the product. You create a group and you can use this group for applying policies anywhere you want. So that's called custom group with Desktop Central. How do I create a custom group? Just a quick peek. So I go to admin. On the admin, I click on custom groups on the far left corner. So go to here and you can create custom groups, right? So I have created one called Windows Group Static. This is a custom group. I have added 2 missions to it. Now those 2 missions are the ones that I am going to utilize here. So I select the group called Windows Group Static that I have created, right? And then comes the policy. Now I have created a group of allowed applications, right? John created, he went in and said, these are the applications that's allowed in my environment. That's the allowed application list. Now, once you choose that, now there are 2 modes in which you can run this, right? Either you call it as an audit mode or you call it as a strict mode, right? When I say audit mode, apart from the allowed application, it will not allow, I mean, if they try to run any other application apart from the whitelisted application, it will allow the application to run, but however, it will report to you saying, hey, the user is using other applications apart from the ones that you have approved. We call it as a gray list, right? It moves to a list called gray listed applications. So that's not part of your whitelist, that's not part of your blacklisted, but then user is running it. What do you want to do? That's audit mode. If you go with strict mode, apart from the whitelisted applications, you cannot run anything else. It's going to ground every executables, every process that's running apart from the whitelisted applications. So that's going to happen. So if you put in strict mode, even if there is a malicious content that somehow found a way into your endpoints, will be grounded because you have only the allowed application list. So that's strict mode and audit mode, right? And one more important thing that comes to application control is privileged application list, right? So one of the challenges which John has is, say, I have to give administrative privileges for the users for some applications. To run some applications, you require administrative privileges. And that's one of the reasons why we provide administrative rights for the users. Now, providing administrative rights has an impact. The reason is when they're on the internet, they can freely download anything they want, make changes to the machines and install applications. That's going to be a problem. So to rectify that, you have an option. John is going to utilize it. So I can go here and say, these are the application that requires elevated privileges, right? I can go ahead and same way choose the applications from the list and say, these applications in my environment requires elevated privileges. So what happens is the endpoint, the agent, whenever they try to run these specific applications, it will automatically elevate the privilege for that application for that session alone. The moment they close, it will bring down their privileges as well. The user does not need elevated privilege at all. So you don't have to provide administrative privilege for the users. Rather, you can specify which application requires administrative privilege so that our agent will take care of it whenever is needed. So by this, John is actually reducing the risk of unauthorized applications into their platforms. If they require any applications, John can push applications through Desktop Central, and he can put access level controls using application control as well. So that's an additional layer of security. So 3 things that you can do. You can put in whitelisting, blacklisting, and then you can put an allowed application list, privileged application list, which requires elevated privilege. You can either run it on an audit mode or put it on a strict mode. This is application control for you from Desktop Central. So John has taken care of vulnerability assessment. John has taken care of application control. In fact, by using Desktop Central, you can also have a list of authorized and unauthorized application in your environment. That's part of inventory. So if you go there, It tells you how many applications you have, what are the different versions. All those inventory will always be there. So that's one compliance level for John. Moving on, the other important thing to secure is browser security. Since John's uh, endpoints are all in remote workforce, or your endpoints are on remote workforce, it's important to secure the browsers, right? So if I have to secure the browsers, then we can use the browser add-on inside the Desktop Central. We support Chrome, IE, Microsoft Edge, and Firefox at this moment, right? And these browsers are supported in our browser security. Let me take you to the product. So with Desktop Central, you can go to the browsers, and on the browsers, you have, again, same. You can create a group, computer group. As you can see, you can go to the groups and computers. You can see it over here. Windows group static that I created as a custom groups is available as here as well. It's a global group creation. Then it's all about creating policy for managing your browsers. Hello, right? So John, how do I go ahead and how do John manage his browsers? One of the ways is to rely on standard benchmarks for your browsers, right? You can opt for standard benchmarks like CIS. In my example, in John's case, he's going to probably stick to the CIS compliance or benchmarks to, you know, secure their browsers. So CIS has different levels of security benchmarks that's been available. You can go to their site and get that benchmarks for different browsers, operating systems, etc. So one of the level one security that they say is, I'm going to show only a couple of them with John utilize it, but there are uh, more benchmarks that you can do it with our browser security. One of them is enabling and disabling add-ons. So the level one security of CIS says, please configure do not allow users to enable or disable add-ons. You should restrict that functionality. So because add-ons have higher risk of data leak in an organization, so that's why they suggest that as level one security. Can I manage add-ons using browsers here? So John has the ability to do it using browser security. So I go here. First of all, I can group my websites, right? What are my social networking sites that people generally use, or what are the intranet sites, what are the company sites that they use. So I can go ahead and create website groups. Then I can say, what are the allowed extensions for in my organization? What are the different extensions that's allowed? If I want to add an extension, all I have to do is just say which one you're going to add. Get the extension identifier. So if you go, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and see how to add an extension identifier. So I'm going to add Chrome extensions. So the moment you go to the Chrome extensions, right? So that's where we go. So you can search for different extensions, and when you select any one of the extensions that you have, let's see Google Translate, for example, it will display an identifier over here. This is your identifier, right, on the top. You can go ahead and copy that identifier, come back to Desktop Central, place that identifier and click on add. It's going to add that extension to your browser's security. So like this is now added to my repository, right? Similarly, you can do it for Firefox, Chromium as well. So probably consider this as a whitelisted or allowed repository, extension repository. Then it's all about defining a policy. So I go to a policy here, create policy. So I can either say allow the users to install the extensions, yes or no, or if you say no, then you can just create these are whitelisted extensions, and these extensions can be installed by the user. If you say yes, if you say yes, user can install the extensions. However, they cannot utilize all the permissions. Something like you should not use audio capture, you should not use video capture, you should not use the no page captures. All these can be restricted for data leak prevention. So I can blacklist the permissions that's utilized by these specific add-ons. So I can define a policy there and apply this policy to the group that I need. So that's managing the add-on, a comprehensive add-on management. The other CIS benchmark that John wants to do is Java permissions, enabling or disabling Java, right? Or managing Java at a different level, right? So I'm going back to the browsers. So you have a comprehensive Java manager to do it. John can utilize it and say, hey, all my company websites should run in a specific version of Java. Can I do it? I can. Exact version or anything about this specific version of Java. Or if you say block compute completely, so I can say for Facebook, never to run Java because that's going to run different games or different applications that could be malicious. So I can go ahead and say block Java usage for these websites or website groups. And not only that, you can say specific versions to be run for specific sites as well. So that's a Java manager. And you have a lot of other customization, including web filter. One of the interesting things that John can use is that web filter. So I can go here and say, for example, allow the social networking sites only after the business hours. So I can specify saying 18 hours, right? Till midnight, or probably it will be too stringent. But then, for the sake of example, I'm going to stop with the midnight. So from evening till midnight, you can use social networking, uh, and upon other time, just go ahead and block the specific group websites groups. So you can put those web filter activity as well. Uh, so that your business time is utilized to productivity. This is more of from a productivity standpoint. The users can be more productive. And not only that, you have browser lockdown, putting browsers into like a kiosk mode, something where you can only utilize the set of websites that you have given. Apart from the set that you give, they cannot access any other websites on their browsers, right? And it has compliance standards too. So it not only you can do the compliance on here, but we also show you different compliance standards. For example, CIS by default, it tells you how many machines are in compliance with CIS and how many are not. If you go into each machine, it's going to tell you what are the different things that has to be configured in order to be compliant. One of the things is something like background processing, right? The Chrome has a tendency to run any applications even after the Chrome is closed. If it has initiated a process, then it remains there on the background even if you close Chrome. So that is definitely a problem. So you can disable that option. When the Chrome closes, every process closes that's being utilized by Chrome. So not only these compliance, there could be another question: can I build my own compliance? Yes, you can create your own compliance standards and then see how many missions are in compliance with your policies. And you also have good insights. Every mission web activity, right? It does monitor what's been downloaded, how many times, who visited it. All those will be tracked you on every missions. Uh, this is comprehensive browser security, right? To adding more to the list, next ring of endpoint security is device control, right? Endpoints lockdown. So John, since John's missions right now is on the internet or remote workforce. Now everybody can utilize these USBs to connect and then get data, copy data. It's not like how it used to be on the office where you provide IT approved USB sticks. If they are in remote, then probably you might have to allow whatever they want to access, or you can give a temporary access for certain USBs or USB devices, basically, right? So how do I do that? You have device control for USB device management. Now again, you do the same thing. You create custom groups and then you create a policy. So I go to the policies here, create a policy. How do I'm going to manage the devices? Whether I'm going to allow all the USB devices for the group, or if I'm going to block, or I can say allow only the trusted devices that I have. So I can go to the trusted devices and put in a list of trusted devices that I have. using the device instance ID. Where do I get this device instance ID? You can just plug in your USB and you will find it on the device manager. So if you think that's a way too much work, plug in a USB into a machine that has desktop center agent in it. So what it does is, so if you go to inventory, we take inventory of what are devices that were plugged in, USB devices, and the instance ID as well. So you go to computer, select a computer, USB audit. You can see the device instance ID for different devices that were plugged in. So you plug in, we will get those for you in instance ID, and you can instantly copy that instant ID and put it to the whitelisting mode, right? That's possible. So coming back to the policy creation, the other things that you can do is, say for example, I say allow the USB devices, and I can say only PDF files can be copied. That too files that has 500 less than 500 kbs. You can set restrictions at size level. You can set restrictions at file types as well. And you also have file shadowing, meaning whatever files that's been copied into the USB, it can take a copy of the file and keep it on the share that you provide, right? You can go ahead and say, please copy the share to, I mean, the file to this specific share, right? So that whatever they copy, you will also know what file being copied. That will give you for help you in forensics as well as prevent data leak prevention to audit more in real time. So this is creating a policy level. How about temporary access? So John has majority of them at home, and how do I give temporary access? So they can request temporary access from a portal, right? They can right click on their agent tray icon, and they can launch a portal like this called device temporary access, and they can go for a request, right? Say for example, I want to have, you know, go for a mouse. I mean, I want to connect a mouse. I can say how much time I want it, or simply like that. So I'm just entering it, testing one. So I request it right out of here for 1 hour access. So I go to the server. When I go to the temporary access, I can see that's created over here. That's created right now, right? So if I want to deploy it, if I want to approve it, all I have to do is just modify that. You see the testing one here, and deploy immediately. It's going to give them temporary access that they have requested. I can either deploy it from here. So there are two ways. I can create a temporary access for the users from the server, or have them request from their agent and then just go ahead and approve it right out of here. Both the ways I can deploy it, right? In fact, you can even generate a code and say use this code to utilize the temporary access. So the code can be applied over here. The temporary access file can be applied and it will give temporary access to the users. So this is device control. Coming back to the again endpoints lockdown, one other thing that's not part of desktop central unified endpoint management security add-on is network access control. But however, we have given a tool, small tool, that could fill the gap of network access control for John, right? Where he can define policies like this should be the version of a specific software. This is the policy generator, right? He can go ahead and say this service should be running, or this version of the software should be running, or this is the applications that should be there. You can fill up different policies, and based on the policies, if it is a compliant device, I will allow them into the network. I will allow them to communicate the network. Otherwise, you can say block all the network access, internet and intranet. It will completely block network access if it's not in compliant. So this will be helpful for John, because when they're in the remote locations and when they're coming to office for once in a while, it's going to be a hybrid environment. I can't simply allow any machines to just come into my office network. That's not possible. Rather, I can quarantine the machine that's not in compliance, right? So this is, you can go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen, right? to get this small policy generator that could work along with your Desktop Central, and this is not part of your security add-on. However, we have given you this tool to fill up the gap of network access control for now, especially during this remote workforce, right? So those are the things from the security standpoint, security add-on standpoint, right? How does this product work, right? For people who are looking towards the unified endpoint desktop central. So let's look at the architecture behind this product. So on screen you're seeing the on-prem version of Desktop Central. You can have your server installed in any of one of the supported operating systems. You can install the agents on all the machines that you want to manage. This is an agent-based application, client server model. You install the agent, you can manage all the functionalities from the central console. If you're looking to manage roaming users, or when I say users who are going to connect from the internet, you can use a component called Secure Gateway if it's an on-prem server. If it's a cloud applications that we offer, then you do not require a secure gateway. So Desktop Central is available on cloud as well as on-prem. So if you would like to try the cloud version of Desktop Central Unified Endpoint Management, you can go to the link that's shown on the bottom of the screen and utilize it. However, the security add-on is not yet available on cloud, right? It's available on the on-prem edition only, the security add-on. I repeat, the security add-ons that we saw is available only on the on-prem edition. It is yet to be available on the cloud edition. Doesn't mean that it's not going to come. It is definitely there on our roadmap. We are working hard to get that soon on the cloud server as well. But at the moment, you don't have it on the cloud edition, but you have it on the on-prem. You can even host the application on Azure or AWS as well, cloud platforms. The application will still continue to run without issues, right? So with that, I have come to the end of my session, and I'm going to take some questions from the audience before we finish off the sessions for today. So that one of the questions was, is it available on cloud as well? That I think I answered that questions if it is available on cloud as well. So I have taken that questions. So another question is, can browser security be managed by AD user or groups? Yes, you can manage, you know, the desktop central with the AD groups as, I mean, from ID groups using AD groups as well, right? That's definitely there. In fact, probably we can probably share you a link in which that talks about how to manage it with the AD groups. So I'm just going through the questions. Most of the questions are some questions are